Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. Thank you so much for being with us right here, Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Happy start to your Thursday. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam, Ronis with you right here for the next couple hours, breaking down all the pieces of news. And Adam, we've got a big one to start the show with. Not a good one to just give anyone a hint. But we're going through and continuing the team previews. We're going through some of our biggest questions for the 2025 fantasy season. How you doing? Welcome back. We missed you.
Yeah, I mean, it was one day. I'm here, but
It's fine.
I'll be here almost every day the rest of the way. At least that's the plan.
Yeah, please, please. Unless you sleep in, then we'll know when you're not
That's
here. Why?
probably not going to happen.
7, 8,
When I
9, 10,
know I
11.
have to wake up, I just wake up before that alarm clock.
That's good. I think that's a good place to be in.
It
But we did.
is.
We missed
I
you.
can't remember the last time I overslept. Now I say that, then tomorrow. Hey
Please,
guys,
what are we
sorry.
doing? Why do you say these things out loud? I'm not, knock on wood, that's not gonna. Why do you do this to me every single day? It's something else. But yeah, we're glad to have you back. We're talking through again. We're going through the news and notes at the top of the hour here. And again, fantasylife.com is where you can go and check out all of those new tools that we reference here on the show. Like I said, the rankings we've got updated. Ian Hartitz went through his rankings update yesterday. We've got tools, we've got the projections, we've got the ADP tool, which is really helpful when you want to go and see the difference between players across different platforms. Draft Champion, we do a mock draft simulator over there. So everything good to help you dominate your leagues. Fantasylife.com. Use that code SXM20 to get 20% off any tier 1 or tier 2 subscription. Should we get into it is bad news. I mean, it's not great, but the report that we got about 20 minutes ago was that Justin Fields was being taken inside from the field on a cart with an apparent injury. We, Adam, know nothing besides that, except that, we never want to hear the cart is now out for Justin Fields, but those are the tweets that we got. I did read that he was able to kind of limp gingerly to the sideline. So at least, they didn't have to put him in the cart over there. But we're just going to have to hold our breath and wait and see and hope that it's nothing really bad, because we've been talking about Justin Fields a lot on this new team, how he is not going to have to look over his shoulder right now because he is their QB1. So let's just hope that it's good news
Well,
for
if
us.
you ask Jets fans, they will tell you it's not
Well,
going to
what
be
is
good news
Poor
because
Jet. You know what? Again,
I
I circle back to I am so sorry, Jets fans. There's not much you can say at this point. That's why I'm saying we hope it's good news. But getting carded anywhere for Justin Fields at this point, like it's just not good. You don't want to have to wait and see and hope that your franchise quarterback now is good to go on the second day of training camp.
Yeah, and being
Fear that.
drafted as a borderline QB1,
Yeah.
depending on where you draft, and we've talked about him a lot just because of the rushing ability, averaging 50 yards rushing per game in his career. We know the passing can be questionable at times, but we've seen him when he gets the opportunity to play a full season. He often finishes as a top 10, top 12 quarterback. So as you mentioned, the job is his, doesn't have to look over his shoulder. You're feeling good. And then it's late July and we're already dealing with something, but we don't know the extent of
We
it. It
don't
could be
know.
nothing. It could be something, but again, we don't know at this point. They just said he was being looked at by a trainer. He ran one play of 11 on 11, was pressured, and the Jets stopped the team drill to do special teams because Fields limped to the sideline. So we'll see. I don't know if we'll get anything further during this show, but we'll just have to pay attention. And I guess if you are drafting now, and yeah, what do? You just pass on them for the moment, or do you?
Uh, I would call the commissioner of your league and say, "Hang on, wait a second. Can we move this
Oh,
draft
so
to
you,
any other
or
day?"
you would? Well, you don't do slow drafts, but you would milk the
Well,
clock.
I would milk the clock. Justin Fields is probably one of my no, it's not probably. He is one of my most drafted quarterbacks right now. But if I was going into a draft today and it was, I mean, and we're not talking underdogs or anything like that, but if you're, a big money league or just a league that's really important to you, yeah, I'd milk. I wouldn't you? Just to see what's going on with Justin Fields. I mean, just from I guess if you don't like him as much as we like him, then you don't really you care about this, but it's not to the same extent. But for me, Justin Fields is the same guy that we've talked about for the last couple of months, where we say he gives you the rushing upside that you do not get with some of these other guys, and so he's being priced, outside. Depends on where you go, but sometimes outside the top 10 quarterbacks, sometimes right at QB 12. And so to me, the value that you get get with passing on the Bo Nix, Patrick Mahomes, you miss out on the elite guys. He still gives you that potential ceiling of an elite fantasy quarterback just because what he can bring to you on the ground. Like 18.9 fantasy points per game in 2024. I know it was only 6 games at him, but that was good for QB8 if he kept going. So yeah, I would wait, or I would wait to I would milk the clock or wait to see what the reports are after this, because yeah, he's one of my most drafted quarterbacks right now. And I'd like to keep it that way. I'd like to keep drafting Justin Fields, especially when it comes time to get into, the GST or whatever it is, some of those bigger leagues in a month from now. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I have drafted him too. I think he is in a range where there's a lot of quarterbacks that you can consider on your team. Again, everyone's outlook is different, but there are quarterbacks in that area that you can go in a different direction. But you just hope that we get some news today in case you do have a draft tonight, because you might just have to pass without knowing any further clarification. Again, it could be nothing. We've seen this happen before. It turns out to be nothing. But it is the Jets.
It
So
is the
it is
Jets.
gloom
They
and doom
seem
with the
to be
Jets.
they can't catch a break. What is going on? Jets fans, I am so sorry. But
I
you're
think they're
right.
used to it. Like if they see this news, they
But that's
shrug it off. They're like,
horrible.
yeah, he's probably done. That's
But
probably
like
what they're
what
thinking right now.
probably. I mean, how could you not after what they've had to endure for the last however many years it's been?
I mean,
I
Aaron Rodgers, his first year, you
that
cannot
was
make that up. It
actually,
was like two plays in, to 4 plays
yeah,
in, and it's
four
just
four
like
snaps or
all
something
I
like
remember
that.
is him running out with the flag, everyone excited, and then he's down on the turf.
And then he went down and I said, "There's no way, right? There's no way. Maybe he just, something else is going on." And then there was a way, Adam. There was a way. We'll just have to wait and see. It's going to be okay. I'm going to put it into the world that Justin Fields is going to be just fine. And if he's not, we can cry on the show later. We'll just have a whole segment where people can call. Jets fans can call in. What about that, Adam? We'll have all the Jets fans call in and just you can let it out.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty sad show, but hey, we're here for everyone.
We're here for you guys. So we'll keep an eye on the Justin Fields news again. He was carted off during practice today with what looks like or is being reported right now as a lower leg injury. Again, we do not know any specific details on that. So hopefully, like Adam said, we get an update during the show. If we don't, make sure you stay locked right here on Fantasy Sports Radio for Sirius XM, and we'll continue to update you. Since you weren't here yesterday, though, I did want to just get your reaction or just your thoughts also on the Chris Godwin news. I know Ian and I hit on this yesterday, but Chris Godwin going another minor ankle procedure in the spring. Does that make you even more worried that we're getting this news now that it was, something that they said was planned, but we haven't heard about it until right now? Jenna Lane of ESPN was the one that brought this up. She reported that in the spring, the minor ankle surgery procedure, I should say, was to have it cleaned out. She said that it was not a surprise that Godwin is doing well. But I don't know, Adam. We always talk about, later in the offseason when we finally hear about guys getting surgeries or procedures. Does this make you look at Chris Godwin a little bit differently right now or no?
Yeah, I've really not taken him yet. And, I always worry about these players coming off injuries. He is older. Now, the organization showed a lot of confidence, right? Paying him three
Yes.
years, 66 million, guaranteeing 44 million. So if you're listening to that message, they're saying, yeah, we're not worried at all. He's going to be fine. And I don't believe there was any language in it dealing with an injury. So they're expecting him to return, but anytime you're coming off an injury like this and he's 29 years old, and people will argue, oh, he came off an ACL injury before and he was good. That was a few years back,
Yeah.
29 now, it's a little bit different. So you'll probably see him. I would think he's already being discounted though for coming off the
He
injury,
Yeah, let me see where he's
right?
fully
Isn't he
going,
in the
but he
30s?
yeah, he's not a pick that we were spending up on with
Yeah.
the hope that he was going to be okay. So he's going off the board wide receiver 39. And again,
Yeah.
that's underdog. So he's probably going, I can look at the ADP tool at Fantasy Life, but he's probably
You
now
probably
going later than that.
Yeah. And you're seeing Emeka Egbuka just go higher. So people are envisioning him having a role early in the season. And maybe it ties in to Godwin where they say, well, he might not be ready. So I look, Tampa at least has Egbuka to fall back on, and McMillan too, who was really good
Yeah.
last year. So I haven't taken Godwin yet. I do have him in that range as far as rankings, but I haven't taken him yet.
So he's actually not as discounted on other sites as I thought he would be because we talk
I
about
was gonna say
underdogs
I
so
would think
much.
that he was going higher on other sites just
So
because more sharp drafters an underdog.
pick 71 overall on underdog, not wide receiver. So overall
Hmm.
71.1 for Chris Godwin. On Yahoo, he's 76.9. And then on Sleeper, he's right in line with underdog at 71. Pick 71. ESPN's the big difference. He's going 109. I don't think there's not a lot of drafts yet going on right now on ESPN as much as there are on underdog. So I take that into account a little bit, but I thought he would be, I don't know, a little bit more discounted on some of those other ones, but I guess not. Where do you
Yeah,
have Emeka Egbuka then? Because I was looking at my rankings. I think I changed him to, I actually moved him up just with all this news, not to overreact too much. And it was only, I think, like a few spots, but I think I have him right now at wide receiver 51.
yeah, I got him higher than that.
You do?
Yeah. Look, I think he's going to play a role early in the season. And if he goes out there and performs well, how are you going to scale him back? So, and Evans is older too. He dealt with, was it a hamstring last year when he missed a
Yep.
couple games?
Yep.
So, again, they spent a first round pick on him. There wasn't an obvious need there. So we thought for this year, this was kind of more in the future, but he's going to be put in a position where they're going to have to use him early, especially if Godwin is not ready to go. There still is a chance Godwin is ready week one, too.
Yeah.
Again,
That's what I'm being cautious about.
yeah.
I
I
just
mean,
want to wait and see.
yeah, I think Tristan Wirfs is the bigger concern for Tampa because it affects the entire offense.
Yeah, he really does, and the pressure. I mean, we don't usually talk about linemen and stuff like that, but Tristan Wirfs, I gave you some stats to what was that, a few weeks ago when that actually happened, and the pressure that he was able to, or not able, the pressure that he was able to keep off Baker Mayfield was impressive, and he was one of the best out there last season. So you hope though that what they've told us is that he's coming back sooner rather than later. But you, Adam, as you always say, we can't trust coaches to tell us that much stuff, especially on injuries. We can be optimistic, like I try to be, but you have to take everything with a little bit of a grain of salt because sometimes they don't tell us the right information.
Most of the time, they don't. There's very few people you can
Okay.
trust in life, and I'd say NFL coaches, executives are definitely at the top of the list that you cannot trust them, especially when it comes to injury optimism. You could just go back and look at how many times these guys have setbacks, they don't make it back. So, look, the thing is here, so it's July 24th. A lot of people are not going to have their big money leagues for a
Hmm.
month. So you're going to have time to sort it out. But there are people still doing best ball and redraft leagues. I mean, I know I have the flex league coming up next weekend. So going to have to make these decisions. Again, it is easier to, if you do have IR spots, I'm more open to taking someone like Godwin, right? Because you put him on the IR and you replace him and you hope he comes back, whether it's week one, week three, week four, and you hope he comes back and shows what he did last year. But again, that's like the most optimistic view when you have to understand there could be a setback. He might not be the same player for the entire year. But
Yep.
again, it was definitely encouraging that Tampa paid him all that money,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
And reportedly New England even offered more.
He left, what was it reported, 20 million on the table to come back with Tampa Bay. So I do think that means a lot. And I know we don't listen to coaches and what they say to us 99% of the time, but when they drafted Emeka Egbuka, it was interesting the way that they phrased, that draft pick, and they said it had nothing to do with Chris Godwin, although they did mention that it will allow Chris Godwin to come back at his own pace, right? It's not, rushing it or anything like that. And I remember saying that quote when we were on the air. So there's two sides to this, and you just have to be cautious with Chris Godwin. Although, like you said, Adam, he's not a really early pick that you're spending a lot on. So he's that injury and the age feels like it's baked into that ADP. He could probably get cheaper with some of this news coming out now, like that ESPN report. But it's just definitely something. And like you said, Tristan Wirfs, the stat that I was referencing for the Tampa Bay offense and Baker Mayfield was that last season, according to PFF, Wirfs allowed 0 sacks, 13 quarterback pressures, one of the fewest of any offensive tackle in the NFL, with a minimum of 600 snaps. So, yeah, he's that guy. He's been that guy. You hope he comes back in what is it, 4 games? Week
Yeah,
5? Yeah,
Yeah, the offensive line, we talk about it, probably not enough, but it is extremely important as we have
for
seen
sure.
because it just can collapse the entire offense if you have a couple of key players out. And Wirfs was definitely number one for them.
Where's Baker Mayfield, if you don't mind? Where's Baker Mayfield in your quarterback rankings?
So,
I feel like he's outside or at 10 or
I mean, he
11.
should be. The problem is it's hard to rank him too low because
It
the
is.
stats are going to be there, but I have not been drafting him. I don't like the price. You're paying for his ceiling. Uh, can he come close to what he did last year? Probably, but we already have some concerns with Wirfs and Godwin, third offensive coordinator in 3 seasons.
Mhm.
Uh, is he? I don't. We all know he's not throwing 41 touchdowns again. He probably could he go throw 30, 32? Yeah, which is fine, but it's not what he did last season. 71.4% completion percentage, by far his career high. It was 64.3% the year before. The touchdown percentage, 7.2%. 5% for his career. And if you don't want to look at career numbers with him, it's fine. You could just look at his first year in Tampa, right? And
Yeah.
it was 4.9%. So everything was just by far a career high. And when that usually happens, the next season won't be as good. So he can be a fine fantasy quarterback. And the other thing is last year you were getting him in the last couple of rounds off the waiver
Exactly.
wire.
Yep.
Now, like, you're really going to pay QB7 when there are so many quarterbacks that go a couple rounds later that can put up better numbers.
Yep. I'm with you. I also that just that whole range of the draft, I've found myself when I look back in my exposures at him, especially on underdog and stuff. Like I just the Mahomes, Mayfield, Knicks, those
That's
three.
like a range you don't want to dip in, it feels
Yeah,
like.
I just don't because you've got your elite guys. We can argue about tier one, tier two, whatever it is. But you've got Allen, Jackson, Daniels, Hurts, Joe Burrow's up there. But then you once you get out of that range, yeah, I'm wait, and I will say I'm back. We're going to talk about Kyler Murray here in a second, but
Uh-oh, here we go.
he's one. Okay, I'm just saying he's one where I look at him and I say, okay, if I want to get the stacks, if I want to make sure that that I have him, and then it goes to Justin Fields, Caleb Williams. But we've talked about those later round quarterbacks that you can wait on with the potential rushing upside that we always want to chase for fantasy football. So I'm with you with the
Do you
regression.
do you
Yeah,
see Mahomes going back to what he did in 21,
I
22? I think
I
it's
do.
possible. Yeah, right?
I
With all
do.
these
I have
weapons.
this feeling. You know what? It's funny that you say that because I was looking at some of his stats from last season just this morning because I was like, okay, where I have him ranked right now, I think he's 7 or 6 for me. I can look at that in a second. But I was looking at his stats to end the season last year. He turned things around in week 8. I mean, week 8, he was still giving you, he had the 18.18 performance, and I'm looking at ESPN scoring right there. And then that was the stretch where Mahomes ranked 8th in quarterback fantasy points per game from weeks 8 to 17 with that finish. But
But he
I
never had everyone fully healthy.
no, that's what I'm saying. So
Rice
now
played 3 games.
I'm looking at it. If they
Hollywood
get more
Brown missed time.
explosive,
Yeah.
that's the thing I'm looking at. If I look at this team and I say to myself, if Patrick Mahomes can get a little bit more explosive, he's had a quote over the last couple days where he needs to do more downfield, and I'm like, yeah, if he gets that, if he's able to, of course they're going to lose Rashi Rice here for we don't know the amount of games, but you have Hollywood Brown stay healthy, you have Travis Kelsey on the farewell tour doing a little bit better, and then you have Xavier Worthy that we saw from last season to end the season, like yeah, I do think Patrick Mahomes is someone that I'm looking at. Again, I haven't taken him. I don't want to say at all because I think I've taken him once or twice, but I do think he could give us a good fantasy finish. Don't you?
Yeah, he's even said that, he's working on the deep ball. Like the numbers on his deep ball
Yeah.
last year were pretty bad compared to 2 years ago. So that's something that they've been working on. And, especially if their defense isn't as good. Their defense had really carried them at times the last couple of years where they didn't need Mahomes to do too much until the game was on the line. But with a full array of weapons and all that speed and explosiveness at wide receiver, which they haven't had. I mean, when they won
Yeah.
the Super Bowl, you remember how bad that receiving core was?
Yes.
Like, you
I
look
think we
back and
all
you're like,
do.
wait, what? They won a Super Bowl with this? So, yeah, a lot does come down to how long Rice is suspended. You hope that if you drafted him, you hope it's like 2 games, but realistically, it seems like it could be 4. And with Hollywood Brown healthy, Worthy's development second year, yeah, they have the ability to become more explosive, which is
They
why I
really
think you
do.
see Mahomes being drafted where he is. Some people might be like, why are we drafting Mahomes? They look what he did the last 2 years. But I think it's more looking forward and what this offense could be.
And Mahomes is just that quarterback where you can see it with Andy Reid turning it around in an offseason and just saying, because Andy Reid has been the guy that has worked hard to fix problems from what we've seen in the past going up till now. So you look at the downfield passing attack, like you said, and it's they do that does need an upgrade at some point, because you look at the numbers that Mahomes posted. He ranked 27th in vertical fantasy points per game, 28th in stretch vertical fantasy points per game in 2024. And that was like the second consecutive season that we've seen that from Mahomes. Those stats were per the Athletic. So I'm looking at this. Travis, obviously, though, Adam, Travis Kelsey, that regression hasn't helped either. I like having your go-to guy. Just it feels like it's not a chemistry thing, but just not being on the same page, slowing down a little bit. We are just gonna have to wait for Rashi Rice, because we only got 4 games out of him last season. So
Was it? I thought it was 3,
was it
right?
3?
Wasn't it 3?
I can't remember.
Okay.
We don't see him. We'll wait for it. We just here's the thing, Adam. I just hope, or we look at it and whatever they obviously take, whatever the league is going to give them for suspensions. But if that's 6 games, that's going to be big.
Yeah, I will. So did he? He might have got hurt in the fourth game because I
Yeah.
see
So
no
maybe I'm counting
receptions.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he must have got hurt early in that game.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, and it's funny too. Kelsey did nothing in those 3 games with Rice, and Rice goes down, and Kelsey has 7 for 89 in
Yeah.
that game. That's where Kelsey started to get going, is when
Uh,
Rice went out.
Yeah. So I'm with you though on Mahomes. Like, you can, if you're looking at your drafts and you're saying, why is he going that early? There's a reason that we think that he could get back to what we've seen before in the past. Speaking of getting back to the player that we hope that they are, let's go through bounce back players, Adam. I mentioned, yes, we're just for a second, we're going to talk about Kyler Murray. But we also have a couple other receivers that I want to mention. And if we think that they can turn things around in the 2025 season, we're going to give you those names coming up next. Oh, did you put that on SoundCloud yet?
Not yet,
That it
nah. I
was You
gotta
said it was
perfect
easy to
it.
get
Yeah.
famous, or
No,
whatever you
I
said?
mean, it is
Easy to get,
easier to
or
get
easy to
famous.
be a singer.
Oh yeah. I mean, you
Yeah,
just
okay.
hear some of the lyrics, and you're like, really? Like, I could just do that in 5 seconds.
You did just now.
Yeah.
Did you not hear it? That was good. It was
Yeah,
good.
and I didn't even try.
Fantasy Life right here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you this morning at K Valenzuela 17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. If you have any questions for us, make sure you send them our way. We're going to try and get to them throughout the show. I do see an update here. I'm pulling it up right now
Yeah.
from Aaron Glenn. So, per Aaron Glenn, told reporters that Justin Fields suffered a toe injury today. Too early to determine its severity. That doesn't sound great. Instead, he's still being examined.
Look, it's better than something
I
that would
guess
be
you're
deemed
right.
immediately season ending. So,
Yeah, toe
uh,
injury. We can work with a toe injury.
yeah, there could be worse things.
Yeah, we're not going to say them out loud, but
No, we
okay.
won't.
We'll keep an eye on that. Again, if you didn't hear at at the top of the hour, Justin Fields was carted off the field with an injury. Looks like now head coach Aaron Glenn is calling the injury to Justin Fields a toe injury. Again, they don't know the severity of it, so we are just going to keep an eye out at him, and hopefully we get news today, so we can figure all of that out, and hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's okay, because Jets fans, we have to have like maybe 10 minutes at him where we let them all just call in and just vent. I just feel bad. What's going on?
It's crazy now on social media, like the headlines that come out when
I
anything. I
know.
saw a headline as Justin Fields season over. I saw like
See,
20 possibly injuries listed for him. I mean, it's just insane.
don't that's and this is my point. If you're on Twitter, you know how sometimes toxic it can be, but if you are reading stuff, read the whole article. Don't read the headline. Click in. Let's see what happens. But we're right here to give you all the news anyway. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what's going to happen there. Bounce back players, Adam. I want to know some of these players that I've seen kind of going around either on X, on some of the write-ups. We've talked about some of our breakout candidates, but bounce back players, guys that just did not live up to expectations last season, and what our expectations are for them going into this season. Let's start with Marvin Harrison Jr. Because we haven't talked much about Marvin Harrison Jr. this season yet. Probably because he was disappointing last season from where you were drafting him. I remember hand up in the I was it GST? I think it was. Took him at the 1-2 turn, wanted to
Wait,
make sure to
did
get
you?
was
I
it
know you took
is it
Neighbors. Was
was
it
it
him and Neighbors?
Neighbors? I think it was him and Neighbors
Okay.
because if I know myself, that maybe that's why Ani doesn't want to play with me anymore. Because
You
I
think
said
so? Because
because I
well,
wanted
you
Field or
pushed for Harrison.
I wanted Kyler and I wanted Harrison. And
Okay.
it
Yeah,
was a
he's like,
little bit
boy,
tough.
that was a
He's like,
disaster. I'm
well, and then
out.
I will say he did say let's get Kirk Cousins on the as our second quarterback. So
Okay, so yeah.
it was a little bit rough. It was a little bit rough. But actually Marvin Harrison Jr. The discount is non-existent, at least over there on Underdog. He's going wide receiver 14 right now. But what we saw from last season with Marvin Harrison Jr., it just felt there was no chemistry there, Adam. It just did not feel like him and Kyler Murray were ever on the same page. And so when you look at the stat line, 62 catches, 885 yards, 8 touchdowns. And again, it's funny that we consider that a disappointment, but from where you're drafting him, it definitely was. He did not even come close to paying off his ADP. He had 116 targets, which ranked 11th among rookie wide receivers since 2020. But what are your overall, and we can loop Kyler Murray into this conversation because obviously same team, Kyler Murray. When you look at the finish, you've taught me that you're just like, hey, don't look at the fantasy finish because QB 12 does not paint the full picture. If you had Kyler Murray on your fantasy teams last season, it was an up and down. You just never knew what kind of Kyler Murray you were going to get, and it felt like they couldn't string two good games together, Adam. You just did not get two solid fantasy performances in a row. It was always an up and down roller coaster. So between the both of them, but starting with Marvin Harrison Jr., is he a bounce back player in your mind that you're going after again?
Yeah, I was hoping a price would be cheaper, but I think there are people with a similar mentality where they think he could bounce back. He's put on some weight. Now, I don't know. He's kind of opened my eyes here because he said now he eats a big breakfast in his daily
Oh,
routine, and that's something
love
I
big
don't do.
breakfast.
So maybe that can help me because I don't know. He said I'm not even a big breakfast guy, but I've got to eat my breakfast now, have
Oh,
a big breakfast. So that's probably
he
the
was going to
biggest challenge.
practice without.
His biggest challenge now is waking up not hungry, but still making sure you feed yourself anyway. So that's a challenge that I've had.
You're so funny.
So I don't know.
Maybe that's what
Maybe
you need to do.
maybe I should. I should have some breakfast before the show,
Well, at
and
least
maybe
some
things will be
coffee.
different. Yeah, I didn't have
Yeah.
coffee today yet
What,
either.
yeah, you haven't. No, but it's hard sometimes. Anyway, what are we doing? How did we get here?
No, but
So because
he
he's
trans
eating breakfast, you're
he
gonna
no, he
draft him?
transformed his body. You saw that, right? He put on like 11 pounds. He's
I
220.
actually
He said he
I
feels
actually
better.
must have missed that.
Yeah.
But because I miss all the, they put on good weight. That's what they always like to say right now. I'll look it up.
The biggest thing is the chemistry between these two.
Yes.
But it was there at times and then it disappeared, right? He had that big game. I think it was week 2 in the first quarter. He had 2 touchdowns and even in that game
Mhm.
it slowed down. So it's his second year in the league and I think what happened is we saw so many of the other rookies who were drafted after had big years that we forget still Harrison was the number 1 receiver taken in this class. Obviously there's a lot of talent there and yeah, it really comes down to Kyler Murray just getting on the same page as him because we saw some flashes from Harrison, but then we saw a
We
lot of
did.
games where it was a problem. So it really comes down to you believe in this offense and Kyler Murray for Harrison.
You know what? I'm back in solely on this fact that Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride hung out a lot this summer.
Oh,
Took a trip
yeah,
to
that's
California, and
huge.
they've played a lot of ping pong together. So
Ooh.
we had book club a couple years ago with the
Hmm.
Rams, and then what was it? It was Breakfast Club, right?
Breakfast,
Or
yeah.
yeah, Breakfast or so. No, it was a different book
Wasn't it
club.
breakfast with Cup and Stafford?
Yeah, Breakfast with Cup and Stafford. There was a book club maybe for the Green Bay Packers. I
No
can't
wonder
remember
why they
what
fell
team.
apart.
Stop it. Stop it. But we've got ping pong. So now I might be even more back in. You got ping pong. So that's really what's gonna bring us back. But listen, I'm in on, Marvin Harrison Jr., like you said, the price isn't necessarily going to be a discount. So overall, he's going off the board 27th on Underdog. A little bit cheaper other places though. If you're drafting on Yahoo, he's going pick 43. If you're on ESPN, pick 48.
Yeah,
Sleeper
that's more
those
appealing.
are nice
Yeah.
prices. Sleeper's a little bit more in line with Underdog, but still pick 35. compared to 27. So I like it. I like the because coming out at him, I mean, he was tagged as not necessarily the generational talent, but one of those guys that is very talented and athletic. And so you kind of look at that and we talk about, the risk with the 22-year-old second player. And I feel like I don't know. He has a potential good season ahead of him. Hopefully, Kyler Murray too. Are you back on him, or do you? Because he sometimes is in that range when we talk about Bo Nix, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray. That I could see where you don't necessarily like him.
I have not drafted him yet. Again, I don't like to let the past. If a player burns me, I'm okay going back to them. The key for Kyler, and we talked about it a couple months ago, where he said he was going to run more this year. I've
Yeah.
seen stuff where where he told the coaches like he didn't want to run, and I was like, what? And I don't know if it was health related, but we saw it in the stats, and even in the games. If you watch, there were times that he had lanes to run and take off, and he didn't. And I was
Yes.
just like, what is going on here? So it's similar. It's a similar discussion to Justin Fields, maybe on a lower level, because Fields always runs more. Like when Fields plays a full game, he's going to run 9, 10 times a game. And we've just seen it throughout his entire career. With Murray, it's not going to be that high, but we know he has that ability. So it really comes down to how much he's going to run, because that's just going to raise the floor for him on a given week. And there was just too many weeks where he didn't seem to want to run. So that's going to be key for him. He had 5 rushing touchdowns last year,
Hmm.
572 rushing yards, but 78 attempts over 17 games. So that's below of what he was doing earlier in his career.
Yeah, I'm going back to him, but again, a guy that people look like they believe in him coming back as well because there's no discount. He's more expensive than he was last season going into the year.
That
He's
doesn't make sense.
he's going in the eighth round right at the beginning. So you've got Patrick Mahomes at the turn, Kyler Murray first pick in the eighth round. So again, he maybe it's just everyone also believing the same thing that it has to get better. But yeah, Kyler Murray right now on Underdog is QB 8. I don't even actually have him ranked as QB 8 in my rankings, but
Yeah, I can't take him at 8. I can't do
and that's
that.
across the board. I'm looking again. This fantasy football ADP tool is something that I look at every day during this show. So make sure if you guys are on fantasylife.com, go to the tools drop down, go to ADP, and you can do the list view and see ESPN, Sleeper, Yahoo, RT Sports, Underdog, Guillotine, everything like that. But so he's pick 95 on Underdog. He's pick 99 on ESPN, 95 on Sleeper, and 95 on Yahoo. There is no discount across any of those sites.
Did you say where he was in points per game last year? So I have it for 6 point passing touchdown. So obviously in four, he's going to move up. So in points per game, 6 points for a passing touchdown. He was 15th in points per game.
Yeah,
I'm
I think I
assuming in
had.
four, he's a little higher.
Yeah, I think I had
Oh yeah, I
12.
think you said 12. Yeah, you said
Yeah, he had
12,
12
and it
because
didn't.
when I looked at it, I was like, he technically didn't underperform because you were taking him as QB 12, but it didn't paint the whole story like you like to say. But it was 12th for like ESPN.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it at all. It felt worse,
No.
right?
Well, yeah, because he couldn't string two games together. You were so disappointed. I
Yeah.
was disappointed. I had
So
him a lot of places.
I guess that's what people are looking at, and they're saying, well, he didn't have a great year and still finished 12th in points per game. So they expect maybe the McBride touchdowns to go up,
Yep.
Harrison to get better. You got Michael Wilson, Connor out of the backfield. It's just that watching that team, it felt so disgusting watching them because they just never showed
No, it
any
did.
consistency, couldn't put it together. It was a very frustrating team to watch.
It was because it was all right there in front of them too. Like it wasn't like it was the Arizona Cardinals have a chance with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride, Kyler Murray as their quarterback to be one of the best wide receiver tight end duos in the NFL in my opinion. Like there's talent there. But it's all up to Kyler Murray to kind of bring it back and make sure to connect with them, get the chemistry going, especially with Marvin Harrison Jr. And then like you said, if we expect positive touchdown regression, which we do because that was also something last season, Adam, where you couldn't every single year. I wonder what his prop was, or every single week what his prop was to score a touchdown for Trey McBride because it must have been insane. Because we were probably like, it can't keep going like this. 2 touchdowns for the whole season, and he was
There,
able to finish like he did. I
there are
was
probably people who
shocking.
are playing that every week. But I will
Yeah,
say that,
because
McBride didn't even score touchdowns in college either.
mm,
He had 10 touchdowns in 40 games in college, and he
but
has 6 in his 3-year
they
career.
tried to force feed it though. Remember, there was one
Oh, yeah,
game,
towards the end of the year.
I can't
Yeah.
remember what game it was, but it was towards the end where they were in the red zone, and every single time it was so obvious that they were trying to get Trey McBride a touchdown, and it just didn't happen.
Look, if you're telling anyone, hey, you're going to have a player that gets 147 targets, and we know touchdowns can be unpredictable at times, you would say, oh, yeah, they have at least 5 or 6 touchdowns. No, two. So, and then three in his 2 years ago on 81 receptions. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it should get better. I mean, and
hopefully.
Arizona's going to need it. They need more touchdowns from McBride, better play from Harrison if they, want to have a better performance this year.
125 targets for Marvin Harrison Jr. in the projections at fantasylife.com, and then 129 targets for Trey McBride for the Arizona Cardinals. So we'll see. Potential bounce back, hopefully incoming. We weren't wrong, just a year too early, Adam. That's my favorite line. We weren't wrong. It was just,
Yeah, well, we'll see if you can use that one again because last year
We'll
was
see.
was pretty
I was
brutal.
very wrong. Very wrong. I want to go through two more players, though. A couple more receivers with potential bounce backs in 2025. One is a Seattle Seahawk, and I'm curious if you have gone from 0% exposure to a little bit more. And one is another receiver that we've talked about, but maybe a little bit disgruntled. So we're going to go through those names here coming up next. We've got you covered right here. Kendall Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you on Fantasy Life, going through all the training camp pieces of news that you might miss throughout the day, and of course, getting you ready for those fantasy football drafts coming up. Looks like just something that we need to watch out for, but you just said it. Darnell Mooney, looks like the report is, took a pretty hard fall on a deep ball from Penix, walking off the field with a trainer, helmet in hand. This is
Yeah,
the
it's that time of the year. We're gonna
this
get
is the
this
worst.
again. You just are always hoping
Be
that it's
careful.
nothing serious.
Mhm.
Injuries, unfortunately, are going to happen, and you again hope for the best. And let's hope that we don't get too many severe injuries during the preseason. That's always the concern. And
Yeah.
again, a lot of guys are not even playing in the preseason anymore. So it's really these practices is where you have the concern.
You hear that Joe Burrow's gonna play the most preseason that he's ever played, but that's like the Bengals always get off to those horrible starts. 0-2, 0-3, or whatever it is.
Every
They
year.
never, they can't shake it. They always do that.
And
It's
it
so
cost them.
annoying.
Like losing
Yes.
last year, week 1 to the Patriots, that cost them a playoff spot because they were at the end of the season hoping for other teams to lose to get in. So they did finish the season strong. I think they won their last 5, but
Yeah.
they always get off to these slow starts and eliminate people from survivor pools as well.
Sound you? Is that a personal story that you just
No,
told?
not last year, no, but you have to beware of them early on. Even if it looks like a layup, just remember Bengals always start poorly.
Yeah,
This
it's
year,
just
let's
not
see.
good.
And people are still going to, well, I don't know. It's week 1.
Who
They're on the road at Cleveland.
can you
Like
imagine
a
though?
divisional game
So many
on the
people,
road, week
so
1,
many
you don't
people
want
are
to
gonna
do
pick
that.
them. I'm not picking the Bengals until after the week 4. Week
I
3.
some people still might pick them because it's the Browns. I'd say it's probably still risky. I didn't even look yet at week 1 for Survivor.
Nah, we're a little ways away, so it's understandable why you haven't done that yet. But yeah,
Uh,
I just
it
who's
doesn't
their
look.
week 2?
It doesn't look like it's an easy. Well, Jets play the Steelers, so the Justin Fields revenge game, and now we have to hold our breath on
Now we
that.
have to wait on it. Dang it. Ratings are just gonna drop. No, but it's yeah, we just have to wait. But I don't know how we got there. But yeah, Joe Burrow and the Bengals, their starts are really bad. Let me
Do you know who the biggest favorite of week 1 is? And it's not double digits either.
the biggest favorites, is it
Yeah.
not the Bills
No.
or the
Bills are playing the Ravens. So they are a 1.5 point
oh,
favorite.
then no. I don't know who.
Broncos over the
Really?
Titans by 8. So they
Okay.
might, and they're home and they have a huge home field in September. I'd have to go back. I remember writing this up for Survivor in the last year or two. They have a massive home field advantage in September.
Survivor, if you guys haven't played, by the way, it's so fun, Adam. It's
Well,
such a
yeah,
fun
if you make it past the
well,
first couple
yeah, but
weeks.
it's fun. It is still fun just like figuring it out and stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah, you're
you're
kind of looking ahead for a few weeks and trying to plan out who you want to use. But I'm assuming Denver's probably going to be like the popular play.
Probably. Uh, who else is on week one?
There's a lot of there's a lot of
Good
tight
games?
games. Yeah.
Yeah.
The next highest is the Commanders over the Giants by 7,
Mm.
and that's a divisional game. Usually you want to avoid those because teams know each other well. Crazy things can happen. Oh, the Eagles are favored over Dallas by 7.
Wow, by 7?
Yeah.
Huh. From producer Josh, Broncos are 83, 34, and 2 in the month of September at home all
Yeah.
time. Wow.
Yeah, I knew it was pretty substantial. So they're probably going to be the most popular. I mean,
Wow,
that's what people do anyway. They look at the highest spread anyway.
these are some pretty good games in week
I
1. I
know.
can't lie. Seahawks, 49ers, Bengals, Browns, Raiders, Patriots, I feel like could be
I
somewhat sneaky
I
there.
actually am looking forward to the Friday game, and that is in Brazil again, right? Chiefs Chargers.
Yes.
That's always been a
That's a
good game the
great
last
that's
few
a great
years.
game. Yeah. Cowboys, Eagles. I mean,
We'll see.
you'll
I don't
have
know
you'll
about
have a
that.
rooting interest. Texans, Rams, like if the Texans step up, hopefully, from what we've
Lions
seen.
Packers.
Vikings, Bears. This is pretty good.
Yeah, Ravens Bills Sunday night.
We'll
Like
take
that's
we'll take anything at
yeah.
this
No,
point.
it's a really good week 1 slate.
Yeah, no, it is actually really nice. We've got football this week, next week.
Next week, the
It's the Hall
31st.
of Fame game?
Yeah, July
Yeah.
31st.
I like that. We've got football this month, guys. We can do it. We
Chargers
need
Lions. A week from today.
nice. We can do should we just break down that whole game?
Yeah, so the total's 32 and a half.
Should we just bet the whole thing? I think we do a whole segment on it. I say, why not? Okay, we will give you these bounce back players. I don't know how we got to the side of week 1 and all this stuff, but appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Make sure you're sending in those questions as well and giving us a call because we're about to go into the water cooler. But 888-963-2682 is the phone number to call in. Got 2 wide receiver potential bounce backs. We're going to see if we agree or not coming up next. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you right here, going through all the news, going through bounce back players. An update here for the Jets and Justin Fields per Tom Pelissero. Justin Fields, there is no fracture in the toe that got stepped on during practice today. So now it's a toe, Adam, that's been stepped on. He's getting an MRI as the team continues to gather information. Okay, it's getting better as the hour goes on. I'm feeling better about this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at least immediately it's not something that they declared severe. So
Hmm.
that's the good news. And now you just got to hope that he doesn't miss an extended period of time. It is a new team. You want him to get reps with these players. So the initial news is good. So people overreact all the time. Just be careful. Let the news come
Be
out before
careful.
speculating. It's insane. Like some of the
Yes.
stuff you see now that people just trying to get clicks and engagement.
Yeah, just wait. Just wait and go to your to yeah, just wait. Wait it out. Cooper Cup was the player that I wanted to ask about potential bounce back. I'm trying not to be biased here, but I do have 0% exposure to Cooper Cup. And I don't, Adam, I honestly don't want that to come back and bite me a little bit. I'm looking at Cooper Cup, and if really the best case scenario for the Seattle Seahawks is that Sam Darnold plays to the same level that he did last season, not towards the end, not when the lights got bright, but he did have a phenomenal season last year for us in fantasy football. You've got Jackson Smith and Jigba now as that wide receiver 1. Cooper Cup on the depth chart obviously is going to be the number 2. We have him projected for 103 targets and 148.8 fantasy points. So I'm trying to look at this and take off the Seahawks colored glasses and say to myself, okay, in the best case scenario for you, Adam, could you see Cooper Cup being a viable wide receiver 2 for this team and someone that, because there is a huge discount, because I don't think a lot of people believe in Cup going into this season, someone that you should be looking at?
Yeah, based on my draft exposure, I don't believe in him either because I haven't taken him anywhere. He is very cheap, but I am just
Yes.
really concerned that the Rams know him best. They were trying to trade him during the season last year. If you remember, it didn't look like they were going to be good. Then they had that game where Puka Nakua came back on a Thursday night. They won, and then they went on this run. And Cup just was not productive down the stretch. He could not get open. It was really bad. I mean, his last 5 games, his target share was 11.4%. So they weren't even looking his way. So the injury history is a concern as he gets older.
Yeah.
New team, an offense that we don't expect to be pass heavy, that's really going to rely on the run. Like, where are the positives here for Cooper Cup? Unless you're just looking at the resume from a couple years ago, like, oh yeah, well, he wasn't healthy. I just don't see how you can feel good about Cooper Cup in this environment.
Yeah, we're a long ways away from the magical 2021 season. Like we're far from that. And for the Seahawks too, like this is almost a new team. Like you've got Darnold in for Gino, you've got JSN for Metcalf and Lockett, you've got a revamped offensive line, and now you've got Clint Kubiak, who is a run first offensive coordinator, replacing Ryan Grubb. So I don't have much of him. I look at the 9, 12, and 12 games that he's played with the injuries kind of taking their toll as he continues to get older. I know we talk a little bit about the open score, but he was 37th in ESPN's open score last season, which was 107th. I don't know,
Yeah, it
Adam.
was not good.
I don't think I can get talked into him, but maybe things change. Maybe I need a highlight reel from training camp. Maybe that's what I need. We're going to the water cooler here. Coming up next. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you right here. Water cooler right now. Make sure you're calling in so we can answer as many questions as we can get to here today. The phone number 888-963-2682, or you can press that new call-in button on the Sirius XM app. We're going to go through all the news and notes that you might have missed here in the first hour, and we've got a lot to get through because training camp has started. So we're going to continue looking through that. But as always, fantasylife.com want to remind you, use that promo code SXM20. That gets you 20% off any tier 1 or tier 2 subscription. And everything we talk about today, when I reference the rankings, the projections, any of the tools like the ADP tool, Draft Champion, Mock Draft Simulator, we've got great stuff for you guys to continue dominating your leagues and getting you ready for those drafts coming up. So you want to have an edge, and it's right over there at fantasylife.com with that code SXM20. That gets you either the tier 1 or tier 2 subscriptions. So Adam, let's get into it. You ready? We've got news. That's for sure. Can I just you know what? Let me start with the 49ers because again, you weren't here yesterday and so we're kind of breaking down, hey, Brandon Ayuk, the quote Adam was nowhere close to a timeline for Brandon Ayuk to come back, which is something you don't want to hear. I saw Jacob Cowing suffered a hamstring injury in practice yesterday. It's just kind of not been a great start for the San Francisco 49ers. My question to you, though, is actually more focused on Ricky Pearsall. He's been someone I've had trouble just kind of like locking down as who I believe he could be going into the 2025 season. So he's also got a hamstring injury and is expected to practice on Sunday. That was, I think, per Shanahan, he said that yesterday, that he's looking like he's able to come back. But I thought I would be a little bit higher on him going into this season because of the Ayuk injury, which starts to sound worse and worse every time we hear from them. Jawan Jennings is not holding out, but he wants a new contract or he wants to be traded, and Debo Samuel's out of the picture. So I thought I would be higher on him, but I'm having a hard time, Adam, looking at Ricky Pearsall and pressing draft every time. What are your expectations for him?
No, I've been drafting him. I took him in the Scott Fish Bowl. I took him in another recent best ball draft. They're pretty cheap. Him and Jennings are
Yeah.
both pretty cheap. So it comes down to what your belief is with this 49ers team. A lot of people are saying they're going to bounce back. They have an easy schedule, but we've already seen a couple of issues here early on. But the Ayuk absence would open up an opportunity for all these guys. We've talked endlessly about George Kittle and how there is a chance now he might be the number one target in this offense, and we know what that will do. He's generally be going in the fourth round, could move up to the third, but the receivers are pretty cheap. You're getting them
Yeah.
sometimes outside usually right outside the top 35, sometimes outside the top 40. I think Jennings, for some people, there's some doubt just because it happened so late in his career, but he really never got the opportunities. Also, the draft capital, seventh round pick. So sometimes, like, yeah, it's a fluke, but he was good when he was on the field last year. So I am open to taking either of those guys in my draft because they're just going so late. If you are buying that the 49ers offense will bounce back, we know Christian McCaffrey for now is healthy. He's going to command a huge target share when he's on the
Yep.
field. But there's opportunity there, especially if Ayuk is on pup to begin the year, misses some time. I mean, there's opportunity there for both Pearsall and Jennings.
Do you look at this team though the same as we always have though, that even if Brandon Ayuk starts the year on pup, he misses the first 4 games, that they are just going to, if it's not George Kittle getting a bulk of the targets, that they're just going to spread it around between Jennings, Pearsall. and whoever else is not counting now, maybe, but Demarcus Robinson, like, because I'm looking at the projections, right? 94 targets for Jennings, 74 for Pearsall, and tentatively 63 and a half for Brandon Ayuk. So they all come out to a projected fantasy point totals at the end, very, very close together, all within 20 points of each other. So is that kind of your expectation, is that this team just continues to move the ball around, spread it around? Because I'm right there with you. I've taken the most George Kittle, even though he's expensive. Like we were getting him discounted last year, but I just look at this team, Adam, and I just don't care that he's expensive right now, because there is an opportunity, like you've said before. Like if we get George Kittle with 100 targets, it just what he
I
could do
I
would
want
be
one. Give me 120, and
okay.
then
I
he's
see. I'm
he's
not.
he's the number
Yeah,
one tight end.
yeah.
I mean, he
That's
was
what I'm
last year
saying.
in points per game.
Yeah, but
It's
that was
just
with under 100 targets. That's
yeah,
insane.
that's what's crazy about Kittle, the efficiency, and he just doesn't. The reason why he is the third tight end is he just doesn't get the volume that Bowers and McBride do. But Kittle was first in points per game in PPR formats. He actually outscored McBride. I mean, this is weeks 1 through 17. I know some count week 18. So many fantasy teams don't use week 18, so sometimes the numbers are a little bit different. But
Mhm.
Kittle was great last year, and he just did not have a bad game. His lowest game in PPR formats last year was 8. So I think it's going to be a lot of Kittle and McCaffrey, and then it'll go
And then the
Jennings
other
and
guys.
Pearsall.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But like you
but
said, they're
but
cheap.
you also need McCaffrey to stay healthy. So we've already seen that's been a problem throughout his career. So if he goes down, then they're going to really have to rely on those receivers more.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I need to look at Ricky Pearsall and just get a little bit more. I've drafted the most between the receivers, Juwan Jennings, haven't taken Christian McCaffrey, and obviously just told you about George Kittle. So
Well,
definitely an interesting one.
I
Yeah.
would think you as many leagues as you do, at least for basketball, you're going to get some McCaffrey, right?
Yeah,
Because you
I
don't.
probably will.
Yeah,
He's just,
he's
it just
moving up.
depends on it. He's moving up, and it's just so funny, Adam. It just really is, like, you just have to kind of be a little bit fluid with what draft you're in, because sometimes people just don't like him in the draft room. It just depends on who you go with. So sometimes he'll fall, and when I say fall, it's like to pick 10, 11, 12. But then sometimes, people are really taking a stand and they're saying, I want to take him earlier. Maybe they haven't gotten him, but he's going right in the middle right now. He's going pick 7 on Underdog. So I could imagine on Underdog, I'll definitely at least get a little bit of him. But right
Oh
now,
yeah,
I
7 is
haven't been
tough.
able I haven't been able to really, or if I have, it's been earlier and I just have kind of passed.
Yeah, I guess the time was like 2 months ago when it would have been
Yeah, and
early
and
second
that's
round.
where I didn't want. That's where I wasn't drafting him probably as much as I should have, because he did have that second round discount, but I was still a little bit scared. Now it's even scarier. Middle of the first round.
Yeah, it really is. Like it's one thing if it's end of first round, early second round. Now, like you need him to come through. He's got to be that league winner. And that's the thing with him. He has the ability to finish number one, but 29 years old, coming off Achilles issues, had the knee injury. Yeah, but I look. If someone argues against me, like I can't dispute that side because if he
Yeah,
is
I
on the
get it.
field, like he can be the number one player. But uh,
Especially with the workload that they gave him. I know small sample, but the work that they gave him when he came back, I know it obviously didn't work out because he got
he did
injured
not look good.
again,
He did not look like the
but they
same
gave him
player
the
when he came.
work. I
I
know, but they
know.
gave him the workload. So if they give him, like, if they give him that workload again,
Yeah, 50 rushing attempts in 4 games, 19
yeah.
targets.
hmm I see both sides. I'm
I
not going to
do too,
argue.
which is
I'm not going to
why,
argue if people say I want him because now he's had really the full season to recover again, and the off season. I get that.
like, if
I
I was
just
doing 10 leagues, I would want to have him in at least one, just in case. But in general, I will not have a lot of him. Like, I still have my concerns and doubts.
He's either gonna make fantasy managers very happy, or it's just gonna be another one of those seasons where it's like, "Oh, no. This is not what you wanted." But, yeah, we can't fault anyone for going after him, because it still is really Christian McCaffrey. and it's his world, and we're just living in it. So we'll have to we'll watch all the news over there with Brandon Ayuk. But again, not a good update that we got yesterday with no real timeline of when he's going to return. We'll watch the Ricky Pearsall hamstring injury as well, and then like I said, I think Jacob Cowing also has a hamstring injury going on. So we'll watch the whole 49ers team and just continue drafting more George Kittle. Next up here in the water cooler, and again, 888-963-2682 is the phone number to call in, or you can press that new call in button on the Sirius XM app to get all your questions answered by us. We're going to try and get to as many of you as we can. Same with on Twitter, on X over there at Valenzuela17, at Adam Ronis. Just an update on Travis Hunter. I know that he's also someone, Adam, that people are split. They don't know if they're going to go ahead and draft him, how much the Jaguars are going to use him on offense, on defense. But Liam Cohen said the team will give Travis Hunter an opportunity, quote, an opportunity to go flip flop within the same practice between offense and defense in training camp. So there's been a ton of rumors about what the usage is going to be on offense, Adam. And as for us in fantasy football, we hope it's going to be more on the offensive side of the ball, using him as a wide receiver more than a cornerback. But again, this is an interesting. Have you taken much of him? Because you're really betting on not only the talent and what he was able to do at Colorado, but you're really hoping that he does play more offensive snaps than defense right now, because if he doesn't, it could be a pick that really blows up in your face a little bit.
Yeah, I have him in a couple of basketball leagues. If as your wide receiver 3 or 4, you might be able to draft him as your 4 in some formats. The ability to handle playing both sides of the ball is certainly something that we just don't know. It's
Yeah.
different doing it in college and then now doing it in the NFL. But clearly, Jacksonville has plans to heavily utilize him. Taking him number 2 overall, they clearly believe in him. So he's going to get that opportunity. So yeah, I mean, I'm considering him. I mean, like, he's not a target, but like, if he's there and he's the next guy up in my rankings, I'm willing to take him and hope that it
Yeah.
pans out.
I've taken him as well. With the projections, I think they're projecting a 70% route participation, and I can go look that back up. But the targets are right there for him too in the projections. And again, these can change because projections right now are just taking all the information that we have and trying to make a calculated guess of what it could look like. So it is also factoring in that Trevor Lawrence takes a step forward and is better as a quarterback. But the 104 targets potentially for Travis Hunter on offense, with 137 of the other ones going to Brian Thomas Jr., like, that's something you just really can't ignore. And so I look at that and I don't hate the price. I've also taken him. I'm more interested to see, Adam, if I take him in my home leagues and in redraft, where he's going to go in some of those kind of drafts, because we know that Travis Hunter right now is going off the board wide receiver 30 on Underdog. So not necessarily cheap. That's more with expectations that maybe he plays and is able to outperform that ADP with more offensive snaps. But it's a risk I'm willing to take, Adam, because of the talent that Travis Hunter has and the ability that he has to potentially, if he really does do well on that offensive side of the ball, if Trevor Lawrence really does step up, he could be someone that really booms in fantasy.
In home leagues, you believe he will go higher because of the name, or
No,
no, lower
no.
because there'd
I
be
thought he
doubt?
would go. I think he would go lower. But again, I have to factor in what, we don't draft until August, so maybe we get more clarity there.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
the
once we start getting more clarity, and maybe, but Adam, I've also been thinking about this. What if we just don't get clarity? What if it's just different week in and week out? It's different by team. It's different by, what they want to do week by week. That's the other part of me that I'm like, you have to factor in all the risks, and we've talked about calculated risks, and I don't think that, Travis Hunter is necessarily this huge risk, but maybe we just never get clarity on what they're going to want to do with him.
Yeah, that is possible as well. But people will look at it and see, okay, he was taken second overall, that they definitely have plans to use him on offense. So training camp will tell the story, although looks like it could go back and forth. And you will see a big shift in ADPs from now until the end of August. Like, there are so many players that just rise up draft boards. I see it every single year. So if you have those players and you know they're going to rise, it's a good idea to do some drafts now to get those players, because there will become a point where you go, okay, the price is too high. Especially if you got a guy in round 7 and then he jumps to round 5, like, you don't feel good about paying that price, right? It's like you got a deal on something and then 2 weeks later it goes up. You're like, well, I can't buy that anymore. I got that for $5 a couple weeks ago, and now it's 10. So now I'm not doing it. But yeah, Hunter is, you mentioned on Underdog, 54.6, 72 on ESPN,
Mhm.
65.6 on Sleeper, and then 67 on Yahoo and RT Sports.
Yeah, I thought he would be a little bit cheaper, but I guess not. And it just I'll also say this, Adam, with Travis Hunter, because we haven't, we haven't really had this player that we're talking about. Imagine like a dynamic receiver, a dynamic cornerback on your fantasy football team. Always just know your positional eligibility, I think is the other part. Know how he's going to be played. I think we got a question on that or a call in on how he's going to be scored and stuff. But if you're wondering about any of that, just make sure you look because he can help you in fantasy. He can help you in those IDP leagues. He can help you all over the place, but just make sure to look and make sure.
Yeah, I looked at a couple leagues and he was listed at wide receiver.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I figured.
but I do think depends on your scoring. I think I set it up in my IDP league, so he's going to get both sides of the ball.
Okay.
So that makes him a little more
I
valuable.
was
So
going to
anyone
say,
in my
makes
league,
it
take him
more
number one
valuable.
overall.
You heard it
Shohei
here first.
Otani.
The unicorn of the NFL is Travis Hunter, but definitely something that we'll continue to watch out for. Again, make sure you're calling in here. 888 963 2682 is the phone number. Let's head out to the phone lines now, Adam. Let's start taking some calls. Let's go out to Jack in Georgia. What do you got for us here, Jack?
I was just calling. I do a dynasty league with my dad, and we share our fantasy football opinions, whether it be redraft, best ball, whatever. And he's team anti-stack, and I'm team pro-stack. I love stacking. What is your opinion on the stack? And then, in your eyes, who would be some of the top stacks to get?
Ooh, I like this question. Thanks for calling in, Jack, and love that, we always have to go against our parents, Adam. We have to see who's going to be right here. So, in Dynasty, you said it was a Dynasty league, but more specifically just across other platforms, Adam, what do you look at with stacking? Are you pro stacking, anti-stack? What do you think?
I think it depends on the format you're playing in. Obviously, I think on this channel you hear a lot of stacking talk because basketball, these big best ball contests with huge payouts, also in the high stakes formats as well. If you get that stack, especially in the key weeks of weeks 15 to 17, it can help. I went against one last year in Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, and it defeated me in the final. So it sucks. But I do think in standalone leagues, you don't have to. You don't need to force it. You see it forced more in these huge tournaments. Like I am seeing people taking Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, and Joe Burrow in round 3. Like they're taking Burrow
Yeah.
higher than Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson because they want the stack. I don't think you need to force it, especially in a standalone league. So if it's if it's for big money, I understand why people do it, but I don't think you want to force it in a dynasty standalone league.
I'm with you. I feel the same way. I think the most important place for stacking is best ball. And there's room for stacking everywhere. I understand when you have someone fall to you or you're looking on your board and you say, "Wow, I want to make sure to get this stack." It looks enticing. And I think Adam too, the strongest correlations are between quarterbacks and wide receivers and quarterbacks and tight ends. And when you have the dual threat quarterbacks, sometimes you don't necessarily need to go as much with the pass catching stack partners over there because they give you enough on the ground. But again, when it looks really good, when you have the ability to do it, that's not necessarily to say pass it up. But I agree with you, Adam, where I'm not going out of my way. If it falls to me, okay, I'll definitely consider it. But more so in best ball, that's where the stacking really becomes important. And then it's more quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, tight end that does it for me.
And obviously, the top guys are pretty expensive. Like the Burrow stack is very expensive. I mean, Lamar Jackson, it's not the most appealing
No,
because
we've talked
it's
about Zay Flowers. You don't like
yeah.
Zay Flowers.
I no, I
I'm
love the
kidding.
player. I think in fantasy he's overvalued. Like we've seen it again. He had his Lamar Jackson had his best season last year, and what was the finish for Zay Flowers? He
Hmm.
just doesn't score a lot of touchdowns, and there's going to be weeks he just doesn't get heavy volume. Josh Allen, one of the most appealing quarterbacks. Like we're not taking any of his players high. Like the
Yeah,
highest player is what James Cook, and even there's some question there. So there's some cheap stacks though. Like
I will. I will
if you
say.
believe in Trevor Lawrence, right? If you get Brian Thomas early, you can get
Mhm.
Travis Hunter and Trevor Lawrence. You can get Dak Prescott, Lamb, Pickens, Ferguson. Like, there's some stacks that are cheap.
Sometimes I'll look at stacks too, and if I get my quarterback, excuse me, I'll usually sometimes look for the late round wide receivers. Because if I believe in Bo Nix and I've got Pat Bryant sitting there in the 14th round, I'll say to
Yeah.
myself, okay, hey, you're not,
And
again, you're not
Sutton's
spending up.
affordable.
Exactly. You're not spending up necessarily, but it is those when it gets tough. Like we talked about Jared Goff, people trying to go for the Jameer Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, David Montgomery, Jamison Williams, that was pushing the price up. So don't necessarily change your draft strategy for stacks, but we're not against it. We're not anti-stacking. It works out
Yeah, I
sometimes.
just think in a standalone league, you don't want to force it. We hear
Mhm.
the stacking talk so much because people are looking for the big money in best ball and in the high stakes formats.
Let's do one more quick call here. Let's go out to Jeff in Tampa. Jeff, what do you got for us?
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, good. I just wanted to ask you if you guys had any updates on Judkins, and if he is getting, if he will be out for the season or the beginning of the season. How do you think that's going to improve Jerome Ford's draft potential?
Yeah, it's a good question, and we appreciate you calling in so much here, Jeff. And the update is that we don't have an update, Adam. It's not good. I don't even think he's actually signed that rookie contract yet. They're dealing with everything that he needs to deal with away from the team. So I know that looking right now, he has not signed that rookie contract. And for Jerome Ford, I mean, I don't think we should be ignoring him completely now, Adam, if we're going to be totally honest. I think I saw a quote yesterday that, they just kind of came out and said Jerome Ford obviously is going to have a little bit more work. He's taking on the RB1 snaps in Quinshon Judkins' absence right now. Um, I've tried to make sure to draft more Dylan Sampson. I'll say that. He's the cheaper option right now. I can see him moving up draft boards pretty quickly here, Adam, but it's the update is we have no update yet, but if you're looking, if one of them falls to you, Jerome Ford, Dylan Sampson, those are the two that you want to go after.
Yeah, I'm interested in Samson, especially at the price now. It'll probably rise with Judkins. Yeah, we don't know. I mean, there was a quote from Stefanski that said, "Don't have much to add. These are things we take very, very, very seriously. We're gathering information, but I don't have much to add on the situation." So, and he is not signed. So, like, he's a tough guy to draft right now.
You shouldn't,
Right?
in my opinion, you
Okay,
shouldn't be
what
drafting him at
point,
all.
at what round would you say, okay, I'm taking him?
Where's he going right now? So he's in the 8th round.
I wouldn't, I don't think I could do it in the 8th round.
I would say, and this is very dramatic, but I would say maybe the 12th or the 13th.
Okay. Yeah, so you're
Like,
basically saying, hey, someone else take him. If everyone else has the same mentality and it's double-digit rounds, okay, I'll take a chance. Because usually in those rounds anyway, those players are not going to give you anything. In redraft,
No.
they wind up
What?
being
Jaden
cut.
Blue? Come on. I'm
Wow.
kidding.
I'm
that's where
saying
he
the
puts him in.
majority of those
Yes,
players don't come
yes,
through. You could just
absolutely.
go back and look, and they wind up being cuts on your redraft leagues.
Yeah, it's a good question, Jeff, and we appreciate you calling in. We'll continue to monitor, but right now he hasn't even signed that rookie contract. So if you are doing drafts, I personally, I'm making sure I'm not taking him. Even if he maybe falls to what I say, the 12th, 13th, it's not something that I want to personally go and do. But if you have the IR spot, I guess, I don't even know. Like, that's the thing. We're just gonna have to wait at him. But Jerome Ford is taking
You shouldn't be able to
RB1.
put him on IR,
You shouldn't
Judkins.
be,
I mean, there
but
should be specific rule. Like, to me, suspended players also, they should not be allowed on IR. I specify that in my home league. I said, look,
that's
the player
interesting.
has got to be injured or out for
Yeah,
the week. That's
I like that.
no suspensions, no personal stuff. It's the IR for a reason. Injured
Yeah.
reserve.
Injured reserve. So we'll keep an eye on that. Appreciate everyone calling in. We'll continue to get to as many phone calls as we can throughout this show. 888-963-2682, the phone number to call in. I want to talk through some positive quarterback regression that could be coming, Adam, and then also want to break down. We're going to continue doing the team previews. So we're going to go to the Lions here coming up next. This episode is presented in part by Yahoo Fantasy. Make sure you fire up those group chats, get those draft boards ready, and buckle up for a season filled with, of course, breakouts, busts, chaos, overreaction, so much more. It is all happening with Yahoo Fantasy. This year, Adam and I with Sirius XM are playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first timer or a veteran making your millionth league. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and of course, more ways to win. It all begins on August 4th, so stay tuned and get started by creating or joining a Yahoo Fantasy Football League today at yahoofantasy.com/fantasylife. That's yahoofantasy.com/fantasylife. Hopefully everyone is having a great start to their Thursday right here. You're almost to the weekend. You can do it. We're going through all the news, all the notes from training camps, getting you ready for your drafts. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam, Ronis with you. And just a shout out, Adam, wanted to shout out everyone that joined our draft for fantasy football today for St. Jude's. We're all sold out. So that should be fun. Shout out to everyone that did that though and asked about it or considered it. We really appreciate that. That's a big deal.
We do. I saw last night that it sold out. I looked at one point, there were 3 spots left, came back a little later and sold out. Was getting some messages about it as well.
Love
People
it.
wanted to play against us. They were concerned about the draft date and all that, but we'll figure all that stuff out. I guess
What's the draft date?
well, so I was looking at the rules and it said it could either be a slow draft or a draft at once. So I guess it will, I'm assuming they'll like email everyone in the league and we'll come to a consensus.
Yeah, I like it.
And then now
gotta
we
win.
have to be on the same page.
I know. We're always on the same page, except
Well,
for
I'll
when
tell
it
you
comes
this.
to Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr.,
Yeah,
all
well-
these other players. Well, who'd you say was boring? Najee Harris, besides all those guys.
Najee Harris has other things
Stop.
to worry about right now. Like that
Tell
has to
me.
be concerning too. Like these updates
yeah.
are not encouraging. But if we do draft a player and you are the one that urges me to take him and he flops, I'm not going to let you hear the end of it. And if it's
No,
vice
I
versa,
expected nothing less.
it's not my fault.
To be totally honest, but we already do that to ourselves anyway. We're very transparent when we're wrong. And
Yeah,
so
you have to be. Like,
you
look,
have to be here. That's what you're gonna get from us always, though.
no
We're always
one
gonna-
likes to be wrong. Trust me.
No.
I hate being wrong. It eats
Oh,
at
we
me.
know.
But if
We
you're
know.
going to be in this fantasy betting industry and you're making predictions, I'm sorry, you're going to get things wrong. The goal is to figure out why you got it wrong and hope that it doesn't happen again. Also to be more right than others. That's the
Yes.
key. So this way you can win. But yeah, you're going to have predictions that look pretty bad at times. And if you can't deal with that, then you're going to have a problem. And the haters will let you know. If there are people
That's
that don't
fine.
like you or
Full
disagree with
disclosure.
you, they will let you know when you're wrong.
Will you let me draft Roma Dunze? That's the big question.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Last year I would have said no.
But this year,
More open. Well, because I just didn't
No,
see
I
a
know.
pathway last year.
yeah. No, it makes sense. There was an update on Luther Burden because I remember someone called in a couple days ago, giving us some updates. But Luther Burden, per ESPN, was not practicing at the start of training camp. Again, I always want to make sure to just mention that because we say how important training camp is for rookies coming in, for everyone more specifically, but guys going on new teams like we've talked about with Najee Harris, rookies coming in, that Burden got banged up when he landed on the ball early in off-season practice. He was also dealing with a hamstring issue at one point, so not clear whether the injury is forcing him to miss camp, but it's just not the best of signs right now, just for Luther Burden.
Yeah, I see. He's not going to practice today, and it is a soft tissue injury.
That's not
they are
good.
saying he's day to day with it. It doesn't sound like it's serious, but again, we've seen these soft tissue injuries. They can be serious. So they did draft him 39th overall, but we're trying to sort out the Bears' targets, and if you're going to miss time as a rookie, it's not good for Luther Burden right now. But we'll see. He could be back in 2 days, 3 days. But
Yeah.
you're always paying attention. It's
He's already
fluid.
not starting off great though with the
No.
reports, with the coaches. When your coach is calling you out already and it's not even training camp yet, you always just have to pay attention to that. But there was a report that he's been involved in the meetings, keeping him involved. He's been quizzed nonstop, and quarterbacks are pulling him off to the side during walkthroughs. So he's utilizing his time in the best way that he can, per the latest reports. I don't know. More Roma Dunze then. And Colston Loveland, I moved him up in the rankings a little bit too. Every single week, I find myself, Adam, looking at Colston Loveland with this Bears offense and telling myself, you know what? Okay, yes, Cole Kmet got paid. That was previously though. That wasn't a Ben Johnson. Cole Kmet got paid. That's a situation you have to look at. It's not, looking at that contract, they can't get out of that, this season. I think next year is the year that they're able to potentially get out of it. But you take Colston Loveland that high, you have a plan for him. And so I've needed to look at him, and every single week I feel like I'm just slowly moving him up the rankings and liking him more and more with the potential that he could have in this offense.
Yeah, I have been taking him to, obviously, with basketball, you're taking another tight end. But when you look at the price, we get to a range of tight ends, and they all have question marks. And it is certainly possible that Loveland doesn't live up to the expectations, but we've seen what Ben Johnson can do with tight ends in his offense. We saw
Yeah.
what Laporta did in his rookie year. Not saying it's going to be to that level. We still need to see how this offense operates, but there's an opportunity there for Loveland, and
There is.
Ben Johnson has been raving about him. So to me, like right around tight end 12, that's when you start to get into the area where there's a ton of question marks. It's kind of these veterans that have disappointed, or like the Dalton Kincaids, the Kyle Pitts, or the Dallas Goedert, where we know there's no ceiling for him. Real good NFL player, but stuck on a team where he needs A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith to be out on a given week to have a big week. Isaiah Likely, a backup tight end. So in that area, like, why wouldn't you just take Loveland and see if he can go off in this Bears offense?
Yeah, it's just one of those things where at the end of the day too, Adam, it's just always so funny because we talk about all the receiving weapons, but it's Caleb that needs to step up and do better. If that doesn't happen, man, this team is going to burn a lot of people, myself included, because I'm in on a coach like coming in for like Ben Johnson and coming in and bringing a scheme that in when we look at it, the scheme should be much, much more, what's the word, advantageous for Caleb Williams. Like it should just fit him a little bit better because that's what last season, like the fit was weird. We were always talking about it. You should utilize play action a little bit more. You've got an improved offensive line. You've got more weapons that these skill guys should just go up and get it for you. Like that should help as well. So you look at this team and you say it should work out, but it all comes back down to not only Ben Johnson, but just Caleb Williams. If we don't get that jump from Caleb Williams, a lot of people are going to be not in good spots. Let's just say that, myself included.
I think most people, it feels like everyone is assuming this is going to work. And part of it is the comparison to what we saw last year with that coaching staff and some of the quotes and things that we have seen come out now. So I've said it for a while now. There's no excuses for Caleb Williams. Like they did everything. They upgraded the offensive line too. Part of it was, Caleb Williams took, was sacked so many times. And a lot of it was on him. He held the ball too long.
Yeah.
So you have to hope that that is being coached up as well. Like it wasn't just the offensive line being porous. Part of it was on Caleb Williams. And anytime a quarterback is sacked that much, they are responsible for some of them. I mean, he's sacked 68 times. So you take that away. You hope the coaching improves. You have the talent there. The offensive line was upgraded. Like, it's all there. Like, there's no excuse. You've got to get it done. And, yeah, fantasy players are counting on this offense where you see Caleb Williams where he's being drafted, the receivers. So, and even a rookie tight end going, right around the tight end 1 area. So the expectations are pretty high for Chicago in fantasy.
If you had to pick between Jamison Williams, DJ Moore, just to talk Lions here really quickly, who would you take? The fourth round is big on Underdog right now. Cortland Sutton, Jamison Williams, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, Worthy, Tet McMillan, Mike Evans. But between Jamison Williams, DJ Moore, are you going with the wide receiver 2 on a Lions offense that we know has been very good for fantasy football purposes? Or are you looking at a wide receiver 1 on a team that you hope can excel in 2025?
Yeah, I'm leaning more right now. I've always been someone that drafts DJ Moore a lot. I am a little bit worried this year. Like, is he going to be the guy? Are we going to see it spread out more? So I am a little concerned about that. The other way to look at it is, well, he's in what we hope to be a better offense. We did see the efficiency come down a lot for DJ Moore last year. He still had 98 receptions, 966 yards, 6 touchdowns, but he was way better 2 years ago with Justin Fields.
Yeah, it was his lowest yardage total since playing with Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold pre being good. Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, by the way. But he had this was interesting too when I saw this stat. He had the 9th most red zone targets at the position, only turned in 2 red zone touchdowns. So there's, you can look at it as like everything's going to turn around here and be a little bit more positive. But I see him as a wide receiver 26 finish last season. You have the same?
For who?
More.
Oh, and points per game? Damn, was it that bad? I guess the touchdowns were
It
low.
wasn't good.
He was, I see in PPR, oh my goodness, I see 31st.
Yeah. What am I looking at?
They might have
ESPN.
taken,
Yeah.
I see 31st points per game.
It wasn't good.
No, it was not.
You
Lack
look
of
at
touchdowns. I mean, the
lack of
receptions were there.
touchdowns.
The receptions were there.
We have him for 114 targets and 76 receptions, 958 and a half yards projected.
That's a big drop in reception. Well, there was a lot of screen passes to him in that offense last year. A lot of short passes. I was loving it as someone that had DJ Moore. I was like, all right, there's another point. 1 catch for 2 yards. All right, there's another 3-yard catch. Yeah, keep doing it. You love it in PPR formats, but it was not good overall for the efficiency of the offense. I mean, he had his lowest yards per reception in his career at 9.9. And he was at 14 the previous 2 years.
We just have it spread out. Dwayne, I should say, McFarland in the fantasy life projections has it really spread out. 84 targets for Colston Loveland. Then you go to 114 for DJ Moore. Rome's getting 98. Luther Burden's getting 70. That's spread out.
That's my biggest concern with DJ Moore is that we see the targets go down because he's always been someone that we relied on for a good amount of targets. It was 140 last year, 136 the year before. You know what's been impressive about him too? He's played 17 games in 4 straight seasons.
Yeah, he's knock on wood, but
he does get banked up during games and then he just seems to be fine. So that's always good. You like that, but I am concerned that they do spread the ball out a little bit more unless he's the guy. I mean, look, if Burden is missing time, that helps a guy like Moore.
Burden,
I mean, Loveland's coming off the shoulder too, but I think he's going to be, yeah, I think he should be fine though, they're saying.
Yeah, he should be. We'll just have to keep an eye on it. But yeah, DJ Moore turned 28 in April. I know his birthday, April 28th.
Oh, yeah? Okay. No, so you want to go
April 14th.
Oh, see, you were wrong.
Dang it,
all right, so wrong. You want to do the birthday. Whose birthday is today?
I don't know. Not
He's
yours,
going in the first 2 rounds of drafts.
Did you hear me? I said, I hope it's not your birthday because I totally missed it.
No,
first 2 rounds?
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs.
Nope. Drake London.
Dang it. Oh, happy birthday, Drake London. How old is he turning? Friend of the show.
Yeah, he's a good friend.
Drake London?
What is he, 23, 24?
24.
Okay.
2001. Crazy. Again, I thought DJ Moore was way older than 28. That's another
What
guy.
did you think he was, 30?
I don't know. Yeah, kind of.
2 years.
He's just been
he's been around.
He's been around.
Well, you forget some of these guys come into the league at 21, 22. That's why. So it's like,
true.
They've been around 7 years. Oh, it's only 29, 28.
Oh, thank goodness it wasn't your birthday. I was going to be a little bit freaked out.
It's tomorrow.
Stop. No, it's not. No, it's not. I have it in my calendar. Get out of here. All right, we're going to continue on. Make sure if you have any questions for us at Valenzuela17 at Adam Ronis over there on X. We've got burning fantasy football questions. This article is live at fantasylife.com, but I always like, Adam, when you and I do any articles together to kind of bring them up on air. So we're going to go through which running backs, who we should be prioritizing going into the season, especially after those early running backs had so much success last season, and talking about quarterback draft strategy. Is drafting one of the top quarterbacks early the best strategy going into this year as well? We're going to do that coming up next. Your athlete, their future, our mission. If you've got a rising star under your roof or on your roster, Premier National Sports is here to help them go to the next level. If you or someone you know has a high school athlete looking to take their game to the next level, Premier National Sports is the team to help you through that entire process. They are a trusted recruiting and NIL resource for high school athletes and their families. Help rising high school athletes take their game to the next level with personalized recruiting strategies and NIL education. Check them out if you haven't already. You can get in touch with their team at premiernationalsports.com. Fantasy Life right here, getting you ready for drafts, going through burning fantasy football questions, the biggest questions heading into the 2025 season. You can find this live at fantasylife.com. To start things off here, quick, Adam, how are you prioritizing running backs in early drafts after what we saw last season? I know we've talked a lot about zero RB in that draft strategy, but man, if you had the Saquon Barkleys, the Derrick Henrys, the Josh Jacobs, you were excited. You were excited about what they were able to give you last season, and those are guys you take early in drafts. So how are you prioritizing running backs going into this year?
I'm not overreacting to what we saw last year. I just don't see that occurring again. All of these guys, for the most part, stayed healthy for most of the season. So I would like to get that one bell cow running back early if I could. It depends on where you draft. But I'm still fine opening a draft with going receiver heavy, or having one running back and four receivers after 5 rounds. I think there's enough running back depth, especially with all the talented rookies incoming, and some of them might not have a job week one, but as the season goes along, they could take over the backfield or get the majority of the touches. So I'm not saying, oh, I have to get 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds, or I have to get 3 in the first 4. I don't think you need to do that just because of what we saw last year. And it was just a rare year
It was.
where we saw 6 running backs had at least 300 rushing attempts and 23
And
at
stayed
least
healthy.
200.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. Recency bias is hard to ignore when you get a year like we had last season and you look around and you say, "Man, there were times, Adam, I was looking at my team wishing I had a little bit more Derrick Henry, a little bit more Saquon Barkley," and I'm sure that's for everyone, but recency bias is something we just have to block it out and go to the next year and just know, you want to always look at a team and say to yourself, "Hey, I know these guys burned me, but let me take a second look and make sure that you're starting with a clean slate going into the year." So I've taken the hero RB approach this season as well, where it's anchoring your team with one running back, more elite running backs in the first 2 rounds. But I've still found myself, Adam, doing the wide receiver zero RB drafts, where especially if you're in a league where you're playing 3 wide receivers, I think it's really important to make sure you lock up some of that early good production from a Puka Nakua, a Lad McConkey coming back with a Jackson Smith and Jigba, Devontae Adams in the third, and then looking from the fourth, fifth, sixth round for those first, really the fifth, sixth round for your first running backs over there, because you're still getting good value. I love Kenneth Walker this season in
Yeah.
that fifth round. That is a beautiful price right there. Alvin Kamara just always seems to just prove that he's defying his age and that he can still be a good, solid option for your team. So I'm with you. Make sure, the recency bias, it's hard to shake. And I know that for a lot of people, but for us, we're looking at it and making sure either it's the hero RB approach or still doing our zero RB drafts. We've got one more burning question that I want to make sure we go through, Adam. It is talking about drafting one of the top quarterbacks early. If that's a strategy that we are making sure we're in on this season or not, we're going to talk about that coming up next. Make sure you keep it locked right here. You've got RotoWire Fantasy Sports Today with Jeff Erickson and Nick Whalen coming up next. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us on this Thursday, going through, Adam, our latest article at fantasylife.com, the burning fantasy football questions heading into the 2025 season. One we also wrote up that we need to talk about here is drafting. We get this question a lot too, but is drafting one of the top quarterbacks early the best strategy? While I do think it depends on, what kind of format we're talking about, what's your overall take on those early, let's say top 5 quarterbacks that goes to Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen?
I typically wait, but I have no problem with taking one of them. It really depends on the draft room, and if they fall, I'm not taking them in the second or third round. If they start to fall, I took Lamar Jackson in a best ball draft, so I'm open probably more than ever to doing
Okay.
it, because once you get that quarterback, you don't really need to worry the rest of the draft. Like if you're in a league with 16 rounds and you take an elite quarterback, don't even have a backup. And I see too many people do it. There's no need. You're starting that elite quarterback every single week. If you're going to invest a second, third, fourth round pick in that quarterback, I don't care what the matchup is, you're starting them every week. So it does give you that comfort level where, all right, I'm done with the position, but you are bypassing some really good players, especially the receivers, because if you're in a league where it's receiver heavy, whether you start 3 and a flex or 3 and 2 flex, the receivers fly off the board, and it gets then pretty early. Like, you're sitting there around 10, like, yeah, I really don't love these receivers now.
Yeah,
And we've also seen so many scenarios where now you have to find the right one, but look at how many quarterbacks you find either late in the draft or off the waiver wire. Baker Mayfield last year was going in the last couple rounds or undrafted. Sam Darnold definitely was going undrafted outside of
for sure.
Superflex leagues. Bo Nix. So there are so many quarterbacks that you can find off the waiver wire or cheap ones this year that you think could be a top 12 quarterback. So I see both sides of it. I probably, for the most part, though, I'd say 80% of the time, I'm going to wait on quarterback.
Yeah, it depends on the price for me. Like I'm looking at our ADP list view of the draft board and grid from ESPN, Sleeper, Yahoo, Underdog. And so on Underdog, it's understandable, getting your stacks. We've talked about Josh Allen goes in the third round. Same with Lamar. You've got Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels in the fourth. You've got Joe Burrow in the fifth. So I don't fault anyone, Adam, because then, like you said, you don't have to worry about it. And it's just always nice to have that security. And some people, if you don't play in as many leagues, you don't necessarily want to take that risk. You don't want to say, well, I hope that Drake May is the one that hits this season or Trevor Lawrence and I'm going to try it out. And it's understandable, but if you're playing in a lot more leagues, it's okay to go out there and just say, I want to try a ton of different things because that's what you're able to do. So when I look at it, I sometimes do anchor myself with a good, solid quarterback here, but I don't know, Adam, some of these prices, because I haven't done a ton on ESPN or Yahoo, they are expensive. Josh Allen is pick 20 on Yahoo.
Yeah, and these
21 ESPN.
Yeah, in the home leagues, the quarterbacks are going to go earlier. You see in industry leagues, in the high stakes leagues, they tend to go a little bit later. But in these home leagues, people will pay up. Like, I'm not paying a second, third round price for those quarterbacks. I won't do it. Like, it's basically if we're in a situation where everyone has the similar mentality. Like, this happened to me in the FFWC a few years ago, and I got Jalen Hurts like late round 5 because everyone in that format waits on quarterbacks because they have 2 flex spots. So I said, all right, it's late round 5. I'm taking Jalen Hurts here, and obviously had a great year with that.
Yeah. Bo Nix, by the way, pick 66 over on Yahoo, going at 99. I know that was going to be yours where I figured you didn't like that one. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us today. You guys are the best. Use that code SXM20, gets you 20% off any Fantasy Life Plus subscription. We'll see you same time here tomorrow.